All right, here we are again. What is it? The arcane keepers of arcane secrets of secret knowledge of lore. The-
I don't have my cheat sheet, Bob, because we have that fantastic new open that
That's
was
right.
made by a colleague of mine, John Malcolm, very talented with the blender, and he took the video of us and had a creative idea and threw that out there. All I can say is thank you, John.
Amazing. It's a marvel. Our viewers definitely did not expect anything like that.
Now, my buddy Jay, if he's going to watch that on his big screen in his living room. He's going to be amazed when
I
that
know.
thing comes through the airwaves.
I think we're going to get up to like 125 subscribers because of this.
Just from the open. Maybe we
Just
could just talk for the open for 20 minutes. We'll just talk about the open.
we would probably lose some viewers then.
It's this is okay, viewers. This is super special episode. This is regular episode number 19. Is that
That's
right?
right. That is right. Yes.
And it's the London recap.
The London recap. 4 for you, 2 for me.
And I know it's 4 because I keep these. I have these big note cards, and I keep one for each session. And then they have dippy little drawings on them and whatnot because I draw dippy little things. Um, I use a big note card, and I just jot down some things before the session that I don't want to forget.
Hmm.
Right, like the last session. Right, I had this little checklist of things that I want to make sure
Yep.
not going to forget these things. And then I flip it over and then I just take some quick notes afterwards, which sounds very professional. It's
Surprisingly enough, you and I are almost on the exact same page there. I have my little, I use like these scrap pieces of paper, and I take notes for the session. And likewise, I have my little handy dandy notebook, which I got on the Chaosium Redbubble,
That's right.
I take my masks notes in. So yeah, same
Well, now
page.
since we're entering a new phase of minimal editing, maybe we
Mhm.
can have a picture of this fancy notebook you're talking about.
Totally. It will be amazing. Viewers, just hold on to your socks.
All right. So now I'm going to tell everybody right now that my yardstick for a good session is how well I entertain the players. I mean, that's really what gets me going. It lights the lights up in my endorphin brain. I like it when we have a good time, right? We do a lot of laughing, but there's this big sort of thrilling episode. And I didn't get that the last time we played. I know I'm leading with the punchline, but we'll get into it.
All right.
Let me set the scene. I have 4 of my 7 players, so that's threshold. And I know I'm going to get a lot done. The sort of the golden rule of role playing is the fewer people at the table, the more happens in the storyline.
Yep. And the greater risk too.
And the greater risk. I've painted not them into a corner, but we've gone through England and I've got 2 big scenes. And I tell the players this up front. I say we've got kind of 2 scenes here, and then we're going to be done with England, and then we'll talk about where we're going next. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the party slash ceremony at Eddie Gavigan's house.
Hmm.
And then I want to steer them to some kind of a climax at the Henson's manufacturing plant out in Derby.
Hmm.
Okay. So we've got the ceremony is /ceremony/ party. Remember, I'm running Gavigan as kind of a moron.
Yep.
And he invites these people and they're going to have a lesser ceremony, but he treats it as a party. There's a buffet, but the lesser ceremony includes a sacrifice. And one of the NPCs that they'd met prior, the editor, the Irish editor, Mahoney, something,
Mickey
something,
Mahoney? Not Mickey
Mickey.
Mahoney.
Mickey's this. Okay. But there's ample opportunity to save him. So it unfolds with them coming into the mansion, being separated by gender and that with everyone else. And then they disrobe and they put on, or yes, they disrobe their street clothes. They put on black hoods and black masks for the ceremony. So everybody is, they're naked underneath the ropes because, of course, it's Gavigan and it's all going to lead into some kind of crazy, right, orgy thing or
Of
something.
course.
So
Nice.
I give them plenty of hints, right? Nobody is watching you. They're all sort of doing their own thing. There's this great big mansion here. You can hear some of the other participants. They're talking outside. People are going out the back door. They're going back into the end of the property. I've given them a map of the property. They
Hmm.
know it's so, so they do some exploration.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I was hoping they would do more because unfortunately, they found a few clues and that was enough for them.
Mm.
So they took those few clues, one of which was the one that indicates that Jack Brady or Brody or whatever the dude's name
Yep.
is still alive in China. So that's a
Great.
hot ticket item, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Coupled with that is the evidence that Gavigan had Jackson Elias murdered. Okay, so those
Hmm.
are two hot clues.
Yep. Yep.
All right, at that point, they're like ready to leave.
Oh my gosh.
They're not interested in sort of anything else. They're ready to go. Half of them start heading for the car.
But they haven't even
Um,
gone to the party.
but the other two did go to the party, and there's like a whole kind of bunch of back and forth, and then the party starts, and there's chanting, and zombies come bubbling up from the ground.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
that's very good. And there's a hunting horror in the sky, but they can't see it; they just
Okay.
hear it. Of
Oh,
course,
good.
I'm
Good. Okay.
making screech noises and whatnot. And all of this, they're sort of, they're right on edge. Um, and then they lead out Mahoney to club him to death. And at that point, then they try to save Mahoney, but they try to do it at minimal risk. And their plan is they had all secreted pistols on
Hmm.
themselves. So they wanted to snipe Gavigan
Hmm.
from like the clearing edge with their pistols.
Okay.
And when I said, well, that's kind of long range for a pistol, and there's all these,
Yeah.
and they didn't like the penalty die, and they didn't like that because there's cover instead of a regular shot. It's a hard shot to hit, and there was a lot of grousing about the rules.
Oh my.
Yeah, there was by our two shooters, and and but then of course I crumble, right? I'm a pushover at the table. So like one guy aims, he takes his time, and then he shoots. And having already anticipated that this was their modus operandi, and Gavigan's got the spell to armor himself,
Mhm.
he had done that with
Oh
whatever,
my.
whatever it's
Yeah.
called. I told them he's got this glowing green aura. Okay, so the bullet just ricochets off of his magical protection. At that point, they all run. We do a quick impromptu chase. It's pretty thrilling. They get away, they bust out of the gate, they're off the property, speeding into the night, and that's it. They're done. They want to call their travel agent immediately and go to China.
Wow.
Fast, fast boat to China. Now, I peppered plenty of clues about Henson's manufacturing. In fact, they overheard Gavigan talking to Frank Miller, who's the head of the operation there, that one of them's concerned about production, and Gavigan's going to go out the next day and visit at
Mhm.
a certain time. So they know where Gavigan is going to be.
Okay.
Uh, And yet, after that ceremony, after watching Mickey Mahoney be clubbed to death, although they didn't actually see that,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the different things, they're done. They're just so outmatched by the cult
Hmm.
that they're ready to split. So I'm not going to tell them what to do. And we do. There's one of the four players he keeps saying, we know where Gavigan's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, he prevails with a little pushing from me. He
Okay.
prevails. And the next day they go and they look, right? And I'm hoping that they're going to do this whole thing again with this ambush, set up an ambush,
Yeah.
snipe him, And I was going to let it work. No flesh ward protection. Let it
Yeah.
happen. Let it happen. But this time they concoct this idea that they're going to bamboozle their way into Frank Miller's office by saying that they're an American investor and they've been talking on the phone. And I
To
thought
who?
to Frank Miller, who's the cultist in charge of the Henson operation.
Um,
So I say, okay, okay. Um, and they make their rolls. I said, well, that's going to be a fast talk roll. Boom, they make it.
mhm.
Okay, okay. They walk in the building. Then there's all in the building. There's all these engineers, and they're around blueprints, and I get to show off the blueprint.
Nice. Okay.
They
Okay.
don't get it, but they see it, and I might
Hmm.
just give it to them anyways. They see it.
Hmm.
And then, of course, it goes south quickly because Frank Miller's like, I don't, who the hell are you? Oh, I saw you at the party last night. I was there.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay, so then they run away. Of course, they run
Hmm.
away. Frank Miller chases them out, and he has the spell where it's like mustard gas just comes out of his mouth and his nose.
Oh, nice.
Which the breath of the Pharaoh, it's a great spell. I wound some of the players. Now there's blazing guns, and they kill Frank Miller. They shoot him down.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. And then they're back in the car. They're back to London, and now they're crazy mad to get out of England. So it sounds exciting. It sounds pretty good. At the table, there was sort of a feeling of we didn't kill the bad guy. They know they didn't kill the bad guy. They shot this stooge,
Yeah.
but the cult is still active.
That's great. That's
It
great.
is. It is. But the players felt a little down. Although we had no investigator deaths,
Yeah. Well,
they
I
said
mean,
we're changing hotels, and I'm like, yep, fine, change hotels.
no, that sounds great. That sounds great. I mean, I love it. I mean, again, I don't think it's a bad thing to have a little bit of tension, right? I think that, having Gavigan still alive, having him, maybe wise up now. He's not going to be playing such a stooge because he's gotten burnt a little bit, and having your players looking over their shoulders for the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh. I think that sounds pretty exciting.
They're going to China next. And once they realize that the boat to China stops at Port Said and then
Oh
it's a
yeah,
it's a quick drive to Cairo, they're like,
nice.
well, and then I'm going to figure out somehow to give them. There is a very handy ally in Egypt, the guy that runs the museum or something, who's
Hmm.
part magician and can read hieroglyphics, and I mean
Yeah,
that is a valuable ally, and I think I'm going to serve him up on a plate for them
for sure.
somehow. I haven't figured out how to do that, but my team needs a little. They need some moral bumping up. The morale, not moral.
Well,
Some morale.
good. I mean, you got to give them what they need. You have to help them through this long campaign for sure.
It is a long campaign, and because I've been keeping these notes, this is like, when did we start this? I was trying, Bob. When did we start doing this?
It was like what, January or something ridiculous like that? It was
Right,
forever ago.
we are halfway through the year, and
Yeah,
I am 1/3 of the way through the campaign.
if that, if that. Yeah, I mean, no, it's we knew this was going to be a slog. We knew this was going to be a slog. So let me tell you about my session two. Okay, can I can I
Do
can
it.
can I
Do
move on?
go.
All right.
I went long. Go
No, you're
ahead.
good. You're good. So, all right. So again, remember we were supposed to have played last week, but sickness caught up with some of the players, and so because again, I have a small group, we reached critical mass and had to cancel. But we scheduled this week and next week to play again. So we're going to have two sessions in a row. So that's fantastic. So yesterday was London 2 for me, right? And really, this was, the players had just visited the Penhew Foundation and were now getting ready to go on the next stage. Now, the big problem I had was there had been, gosh, almost a month where we had not played. So there was a lot of catching up and a lot of like, what, right. But the good news is I had all my players yesterday, all five of my players, six of my players. And so, it was a good session in terms of participation. And they yesterday they laid a lot of seeds. They planted a lot of seeds out there. They talked to Mickey Mahoney. They talked to
Yes.
Inspector Barrington. They talked to Zahara Shafiq, in the Empire Spices. They also so again, I'll go through this a little bit less of a clip and give you a little bit more details about what they did. They went and they talked to they were very interested in, I don't know if you guys were, but the Penhu Foundation facility itself with its weird ventilation thing, my guys were very, very curious about that and really asked a lot of questions and contemplated sabotaging that. They didn't, but they thought about it. Then
Yeah.
they went and they talked to Mickey Mahoney, right, and got their hooks into the whole Egyptian murder thing. Um,
Yes.
and so they began, kind of understanding the scale, of that crime spree. And then, they've been flirting around with going to the British Museum and getting using some of the resources there to translate one of the books they got from Erica Carlisle, but they haven't done that yet. But that was one of the ideas they had. But they did go talk to Barrington, the inspector with Scotland Yard. One of the things I did run into, Matt, I don't know if you did, was I'm not very familiar with London as a city, right? And I didn't do my homework to figure out where all these places are very well. And I didn't have the map handy. See, I'm sure you have this map in your brain all the time, but it's like,
Mm,
we need to go here and here. It's like, okay. So I'm going to do better at that. I've already begun. I've already created a little map for my PowerPoint slide deck with all these locations highlighted on them. So
yeah.
I'll be better
Yeah.
prepared. But they talked to Barrington. They got a better idea about that. He dropped the hint about Empire Spices, and then they went and talked to Zahara, right? And now you,
Whole team. Did the whole group go?
whole team, yes, yes. And, I am playing her as just the sweetest, nicest person that you could ever meet, right? She is so nice and she's so kind and she's so accommodating and helped them pick out some spices and things like that. Um, all the while sizing them up, right?
Of
Learning what
course.
they knew. And somebody did eventually, because the only tell that she gave that was overt was her disdain for Edward Gavigan, right? I'm really setting them up as the text describes as
Yes.
rivals, so there
Right.
was some clear ill will, right? He never even mentioned her, but she definitely, her past association with Sir Aubrey, her work with the Pennu Foundation, all that came up, and there's definitely, she was casting some shade on Mr. Gavigan to be sure. Um, so
That's good stuff. Well, that's good stuff.
yeah. And so they learned about the Blue Pyramid Club. But the session kind of shaked out so that it wasn't time. The Blue Pyramid only opened at 6 p.m. It was 4. So they had some time to kill before going to the Blue Pyramid. And then they went where I hoped they would go, which is to visit Ferris and Sons Trucking, which I think I told you this earlier. I think that is the cog that ties everything in this chapter together. I mean, that truck is, at least in my interpretation, it's going to be everywhere. They've already seen the truck at the Penhu Foundation. They saw it
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and and then they decided to look, and so and I'm playing Ted Ferris, who is the owner who I've created as the owner of this. He is super pissed off about his truck being misused because it's for local deliveries only, and they're driving it over to the Nays and they're driving it to Derby, and he is all kinds of pissed off about
He has
that.
one truck. Ted's got one truck.
No, he has multiple trucks, but this one truck, it's for local deliveries only. And it's being taken out of the city. And he's very upset about it, right? He's not happy about all the miles that are being put on this truck. When the agreement was for local deliveries, and his son was there and he was screaming at his son, the players were very entertained by that. So I think that that's going to pay
Now,
dividends.
well, is his son an adult? Does he work with his adult son, or is his
Yeah,
son
yeah.
like,
It's his
like he's
sons, right?
screaming at an 8-year-old?
No, he's not screaming in the 8-year-old. His son was the one that negotiated the deal with the fellow at the docks, right? So I kept dropping the name of the guy at the docks, who the players are definitely going to go and investigate. So then they will get tons of information there. They'll get, they may get the Ivory Wind connection. They'll be able
Yeah.
to, and they'll definitely, get the hints in manufacturing. I went ahead and with the help of the interwebs, fleshed out the entire staff of Henson Manufacturing, right? They have names and all that stuff, right?
How big
So
is the staff? How big is the
it,
staff? And
it's like
is there a
it's like
retirement plan?
I think that they have a pretty good dental plan. I do. I think so. I mean, really cutting edge
No, well,
stuff.
wait. We're talking about
Pay time
England.
off. I know. Again, that's why it's so cutting edge, right? Oof. Um, so what, and also what we're talking about there is that if they go there, and because again, there's only like the engineers and the people who are actually doing the work aren't cultists, right? Right. So I can't wait because if I want my players to talk to those people because they're going to act like they are like, well, they're working for the home office and they're patriots, right? Because they're doing some secret project and they're really, they're gung ho about
Engines.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I think it will be interesting if the players find out what they're doing and then tell those engineers about it, because then they would be outraged. They would be outraged, right? The engineers would completely be on their side if they spun that, right? Because again, there are these patriots who are being deceived, and instead of doing something for the good of the country, are instead doing this nefarious thing. They would be. I hope it happens. It may or may not. You never know.
Well, it's Bob. First off, that's a masterful stroke. I got to give it to you. Well done. That is a nice spine for everything to use the trucking company. I
Thank you.
really like that you've developed them and they're not bad guys. So
Right.
it gives the investigators somebody to interact with that's not a cultist, like you just said.
Right. Right.
which
Yeah. So
might which might make them think that, gee, maybe everybody that's involved in this isn't a cultist, which makes it both harder to decipher who is and who isn't, and two, even scarier.
yeah. No. And that to that point, Matt, when the players do go to the Blue Pyramid Club and talk to Yalisha, she is going to completely sell out Shahara as a cultist, right? And they're going to say, "But we just talked to her. She's super nice, right?" It's going to be fantastic, right? And if they talk to
Yeah,
her, if they talk to Zahara again, she'll say, "Well, yeah, maybe I am involved with the Brotherhood of the Black Fairy, but we're okay. It's that Gavigan guy that's causing all the problems, right?"
it's just a social club. It's
Yeah,
just a social.
but he's doing all this stuff. He's the one that's killing all the Egyptians. I would never kill my countrymen, even though she totally is. It's fantastic. I love it.
Now, I used Yalisha
Uh-huh.
as they got a membership list from her,
Okay.
and they asked her, could you put it like a little tick next to the names that you think might be cultists? And she wrote, sure. And then I realized at the celebration ceremony that I ran, when I split the team up with genders, I only had one female investigator. So to give her something to do, I had Yulisha come to the party incognito
Okay. Okay.
with a derringer hidden in her armpit
Oh yeah.
to
Looking for fun.
shoot Gavigan because she's convinced Gavigan murdered her boyfriend.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So in the ceremony, while they're shooting at Gavigan and the bullets are bouncing off, she walks up and they see this. She shoots Gavigan, the bullet bounces off,
Oh my gosh.
and then he, with one of his spells, lightning bolts her, and she goes flying off into the bushes.
Oh my goodness. Nice. That's
And
exciting.
I thought that's the replacement character right there.
Yes.
I'm going to
Nice.
stand her up. Next time there's a PC, an investigator death. Next time there's an investigator death, I'm just going to hand her out. She can come at any time. She can
Yep.
just show up following the trail.
Nice. Love it. That's fantastic.
That's
All
pretty good.
right. All right. Well, that's a pretty incredible recap. So next week, are we both gaming?
No, I'm on holiday. Well, no, so wait a minute. No, I'm headed to holiday. So this
Okay.
Friday, my lovely wife Casey and I are getting in the car and we're driving to Maine. Here I've got my T-shirt from the Maine Diner that's in Wells, Maine. We'll be staying in Kennebunkport, Maine, which is it's on the beach there. Um, and then I think so I'm not going to play for a month. I think
Wow.
ample time for the Indianapolis team to catch up.
Right. We're gaming again next week, so we will have some stuff to say. We'll have some stuff to say.
That's wonderful.
Fantastic.
So That's wonderful. So maybe we'll figure out some behind the scenes things. Maybe folks will be able to bring you another special guest. Why
That's
don't you
right.
comment in the comments here if you like our special guests, if you like that we pull those things out, because we can get a bunch of them. I mean, we know people.
We do. We do. All right. As always, I'm begging you, please like, subscribe this video, click the button.
Somewhere, right? There's like, look, now I'm doing it. I
There
don't
you
have
go.
anything. Bob's taking over the editing, so I don't have anything now to do.
Not hardly. All right, viewers. Thank you. And until next time.